Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Richard and welcome back to the weekly watches video sponsored by MarketSmith. As always, we're going to run through all the stocks on my radar for this upcoming trading week, talking through their setups as well as their fundamentals. And as I go along, make sure to let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'd love to see that. And let's go ahead and dive right in with AZPN. And if you do enjoy this video, I do want to say, please go ahead and leave a like down below. It really helps me out and my channel. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this one every single week. All right, so taking a look at AZPN, you can see I'm watching this pivot right near that 200 level. Nice action up trending above the moving averages. Relative strength line is screaming at you. And overall, this is acting extremely well relative to the market, which obviously is in a corrective state. We did have a rally late last week. Saw a lot of rallies in many different areas. But overall, this is a stock that's been holding up quite well and is showing a lot of relative strength. Decent fundamentals, not superb. And the group definitely leaves a lot to be desired, but definitely a name to have on your radar, especially for a swing trade. Moving on, we've got CAL, which I'd love to see some type of consolidation here, and then a kind of reconfirmation, maybe through this high. And overall, really nice earnings and sales the past few quarters. Estimates for this year and next year in terms of revenue and earnings here aren't superb, but the estimate revisions are up, which is a good sign. And once again, not really in a high in demand industry group just yet, but the chart is pretty strong. Next up, we've got DQ, which is not Dairy Queen, but it's Daqo New Energy Corp. This kind of has both the solar theme as well as the China theme working for it. This has been super strong off the bottom here above the moving averages. I'm watching for reconfirmation through this high, and I'd love to see kind of one inside day, so you can play it inside day and up, managing risk right at that low or this low right here. But overall, super strong action, maybe a little bit short-term extended from that 21 EMA. But definitely a name that's been moving pretty strongly on nice price and volume action. And you've got superb earnings, great estimates for this year, not so much for the next year, but estimate revisions are up. Moving on, we've got Duolingo, which I'm watching for a breakout through this kind of 100 level. It kind of tried it on Friday, but was knocked down into the end of the day. Obviously, this volume right here is a little bit skewed because of rebalancing, but I love to see a nice breakout on volume through this level, through 106, and just that overall 100 general area. Moving on, we've got EMPH, another solar name. I love to see kind of an inside day here, and then a breakout through that 200 level. And this is a name I actually already own, but I'm looking to add to my current position. And I love to see big volume come into this name because that's kind of what we're lacking here. We do have the relative strength, but we haven't seen that big volume, big institutional footprints kind of come into this name. So that is EMPH. Moving on, we've got GTLB, another name coming off the bottom here. Nice breakout through this kind of early pivot, and now it's right at this 5450 level. So I'd love to see maybe a few days of consolidation and then a reconfirmation to the upside on large volume. We are seeing nice spikes here, good upside volume here, and you can see it formed a subtle higher low as the overall market continued to pull back earlier this year. And also in the most recent kind of leg down, once again, a nice higher low. So definitely seeing some forms of relative strength in this name and really nice sales growth over the past 4 quarters. Moving on, we've got HQY, health equity and healthcare in general. Medical sectors have been acting pretty strong. And I'd love to see a breakout through these highs. You can manage risk right at that 21 EMA. This is a slower mover, but it can trend nicely. And fundamentals do leave a little bit to be desired. But overall, the chart pattern is reasonably strong for this environment right here. You can see it pull back to this prior consolidation pivot, and so far is holding nicely with that pivot as well as the 21 EMA. Moving on, we've got Northrop Grumman, NOC, and overall this area has been pretty strong. Looking at the charts, you can see it's a leadership group right now, top 40, and overall this kind of a breakout failure reset, and it's setting up a pivot right at this area. And I'm watching for a big volume push through that level. Overall fundamentals aren't great, but the price action is a lot stronger than the rest of the market. Next up, we've got PLAB, and this is definitely one to watch if the semiconductors come back into favor. They started to show something on Friday, but overall have been pretty weak. And I like this because it's a kind of retest of this kind of pivot area, as well as the 21 EMA and really strong volume on this push up. Now kind of a retest of that breakout area. So that is PLAB, really nice fundamentals as well, great estimates and earnings. Moving on, we've got PRM, which is a chemicals recent IPO. Moving off the bottom here, pulled back late last week, couldn't quite break out through this pivot. You can see a poor closing range here, but it's kind of pulled back into the 21 EMA, and I'm watching for maybe an inside day and then inside day and up off that key level, managing risk right at that swing low or potential higher low there. Moving on, we've got Solar Edge, another solar company, and I think EMPH and DQ are a lot stronger than this name, but I'm still watching for a push through this level. A little bit volatile here on Friday, but decent closing range and decent fundamentals. I think EMPH and DQ are a lot stronger in that growth, in terms of those growth metrics. Moving on, we've got SIGA, which is kind of a more volatile, very speculative type name. I had it on this list basically last week through this high, and now we had a big upside reversal on Friday, so you could play the confirmation here as it pushes up here. This is one that could go up dramatically, but also pull back dramatically as well. So you have to manage risk through your position size, as well as having very specific entries. Most likely for this name, you'd want to play it on an hourly chart. That way you can just manage risk a little bit tighter. But overall, if this is your type of play, definitely want to watch, and maybe it even goes sideways for a little bit, pushes up, pulls back one more time, and you've got another pivot right there. That could provide even better kind of risk reward in this name. But I really like the push up on volume, but it is extremely, extremely volatile, so keep that in mind. VERU also within that kind of same type of character, and there's also news driven at the moment, so keep that in mind. But I'm watching for a big volume push through these highs. In terms of fundamentals, that's pretty much the story here. Not really any growth numbers to speak of, but the chart does have a lot of potential. But once again, this is extremely volatile. You want to make sure you manage risk both through a stop loss as well as your position size. Next up, we've got DLTR, Dollar Tree, and overall the kind of discount retail like BJ's has been acting pretty darn well. And this is kind of setting up for a push through that 50 SMA. A little bit of a pivot breakout on Friday, but I definitely want to see more kind of constructive price and volume action, a big volume push through that level, and then a push up the right side of the space, but definitely acting stronger than the rest of the market. And these type of stocks tend to do well during a kind of recessive type environment. Moving on, we've got SWIR, and this is kind of a lone warrior within this group, but acting strong above its 21 EMA, 50 SMA, 200 SMA, a nice push up on large volume. And now it's kind of consolidating, resting. Maybe it needs one more pullback before it's ready, but definitely one to watch as it kind of builds out after this nice initial momentum move. KRO within the chemicals group, once again, similar look to actually the previous one, but different environment, different group. And this looks a little bit stronger, nice breakout through this early pivot. And I'm watching this level, and maybe we have a nice quiet inside day. Then you can manage risk right at that prior low there. Really nice fundamentals in this name, really strong earnings estimates for 2022. Moving on, we've got KDNY, and this is more speculative, a lower dollar volume name, but this overall group has been acting super strong. And I'm watching for basically a breakout through this kind of short-term flag that's forming here. And I definitely want to see volume come in. I like how overall volume is increasing as it pushes up. And overall going to a weekly, you can see that it's within a longer term base. So if it does manage to push through this level, this 20 level, which is pretty key, then it could start a nice move up into not all-time highs, but new 52-week highs as well. So that's pretty much it for this list. I think that's it. Yep. So let me know your thoughts down below on these stocks. Let me know your favorite kind of top 3 setups from this list. And if there's any names that I didn't go over that you think are really prime for next week, let me know down below in the comment section as well. And with all that said, thanks so much for watching. Leave a like down below if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'll see you guys in future videos. Thanks.